What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's Filthiest Pitches of the Day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Marcus Drummond, who had 6 Ks in 7 innings, giving up only 1 run. He had his dirty changeup and sinker working, as well as these wicked sliders. And here's a slow-mo look at his sinker release. That sinker is one of the most unique pitches in baseball because it has gyro spin, almost like a cutter, but it's a sinker. He was up against Zach Wheeler, who had 5 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run, had these nasty curveballs and a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and lowered his ERA to 2.92 this year. Jameson Taione had 6 Ks in 7 1/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these sliders and this debatting curveball. He outdueled Jose Barrios, who had 7 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, and even though he gave up some runs, he did have some nasty stuff. He had this wicked wipeout 86-mile-an-hour curveball, as well as this changeup, and his fastball touched 97. Here's an overlay of Barrios at his best. Here's his curveball and fastball overlaid, and you can see how filthy this is. Barrios can be a frustrating pitcher because his stuff is so good, but he's pretty inconsistent with really high highs and really low lows. Tyler Anderson had this nasty changeup on his way to 3 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. He was up against Blake Snell, who had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up no runs and only 1 hit, and had these overpowering fastballs and wicked sliders. Another solid outing for Snellzilla. Shane Bieber had 6 Ks in 6 innings. He did give up 4 runs, but had these cutters, sliders, and of course, his pretty knuckle curve. He was up against Corey Kluber, who had these filthy breaking balls on his way to 5 Ks in 4 innings. Zach Greinke went 7 innings, giving up no runs. He only had 2 Ks, and they were on this slider and changeup. Luis Garcia had this fastball and cutter, and I enjoyed seeing Luis Garcia mess with timing some. Here's a comparison of his salsa rock the baby lineup with his more abbreviated windup, and you can see why that would throw hitters off. Robbie Ray had 8 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these wicked sliders and fastballs. Paolo Espino had this 6 slider and his gorgeous curveball. He averages 73.2 inches of drop on his curveball, which is the most in the major leagues this year. Pablo Lopez had this nasty changeup on his way to 5 Ks in 6 innings. Michael Wacha kind of had a crappy outing, but did have this changeup sword. Miles Michaelis went 6 innings with 9 Ks. Nice. Gave up only 1 run and had these fastballs and slider. Logan Webb was totally filthy with 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 1 run, lowering his ERA to 2.90, and had these 6 sliders and changeups. Look at that filthy movement. Mitch Keller had 5 Ks in 5 innings thanks to his fastballs and sliders. He was up against Hunter Greene, who was dominant again with his sliders, including this painted slider, and his 99 to 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. He even got his 10th K on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He gave up no earned runs in 6 innings and lowered his once astronomical ERA to 4.66. I am really excited to see what he has in store for next year because he is going to be a beast. My filthiest starter of the day was Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober had 10 Ks in 7 1/3 innings, giving up no runs on only 2 hits. He lowered his ERA to 3.18. And look at these filthy breaking balls and changeups. A ton of filth coming out of that 6'9" frame. My favorite part is after I tweeted him out, he had this "Mama, I made Pitching Ninja" tweet, and of course his mom was excited too. Well, Bailey and Mama Ober, you didn't just make Pitching Ninja, you were Pitching Ninja's filthiest starting pitcher of the day. Congrats. Now to my filthiest relievers. Lou Trevino had this slider sword. Tommy Kahnle had these nasty changeups. AJ Minter had this fastball and changeup. Colin McHugh had this pretty 75-mile-an-hour curveball. Jose Leclerc had this dirty changeup. Hunter Brown had his overpowering 98-mile-an-hour fastball and his 84-mile-an-hour knuckle curve. I like the fact we had Hunter Brown and Hunter Greene pitching on the same day. Dylan Coleman had this wipeout slider to Javi Baez. I think Javi Baez is going to win my hitter of the year because he gets featured in my highlights more than just about anybody. Emmanuel Clase had this ferocious 93-mile-an-hour slider. Pete Fairbanks had 3 Ks and got 3 terrible swings. He's now had 35 Ks in his last 21 outings, giving up no runs. Cue the trumpets. Edwin Diaz had these 3 Ks. Enyel De Los Santos had this immaculate inning, only the 4th immaculate inning in Guardians/Indians history, and that franchise has been around for a long time. Camilo Doval had this White Castle special and 102-mile-an-hour fastball. Ryan Helsley had this absolute insanity with his 104-mile-an-hour fastball, 94-mile-an-hour sliders, just destroying hitters. But even with that obscene stuff, he still is not the reliever of the day, because the reliever of the day is Johan Duran, who had this absolutely unfair 3-pitch K with a pair of 103-mile-an-hour fastballs and that ridiculous curveball, and then had a pair of 99-mile-an-hour splinkers, that's a cross between a splitter and a sinker, with a 104-mile-an-hour fastball in between. Yes, he's shoving red-hot splinker sandwiches down hitters' throats. Undoubtedly one of the filthiest relief appearances of the year. Here's an overlay of Duran's 99-mile-an-hour splinker with his 104-mile-an-hour fastball, and I don't know what you do here, but regardless of what you do, you're gonna K. Just absolute mind-blowing stuff. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. It's Trisha Whitaker, Ray's sideline reporter, making Pitching Ninja the hard way. Seriously, that scared the crap out of me. What is up, Ninja Nation? My picks of today are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with Julio Urias for 5 Ks or more, then take Zach Gallen for 6 Ks or more, and top it off with Aaron Nola for 8 Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?